Whilst this report is impartial and apolitical and deliberately so, I don't hope to be. We are currently living in a climate where certain types of speech and political viewpoint are under unrelenting attack. More insidiously, so is our language itself. The warping and distortion of words and their meanings to serve ideological ends leaves those words stuck in the throat for fear of causing offence. Entire areas of moderate opinion have been sacrificed at the altar of this new, burgeoning secular religion of woke. Gender reassignment, race, religion, sex, sexual orientation, the definition of gender, climate change, COVID decisions, vaccinations, decisions taken by the NHS, national identity, and British history, to name but a few. The doctrine of diversity, equity, and inclusion, which promotes division, inequality, and exclusion, combined with the ever-growing tyranny of cancel culture, meaning the public discourse is broken. Stable government relies on the broadest possible public debate in order to fully and fairly represent all the people. It is impossible to think without speaking freely. Free speech includes bad ideas as well as good, but it is only by the airing of them all, some of them uncomfortable, offensive, unpalatable, and downright wrong, that we can identify the good ideas and use them to dismantle the bad. The rich and powerful have never had their speech restricted. Free speech exists to protect and give a voice to the most vulnerable in our society, and it is the core principle of the democratic process. The Reclaim Party commissioned a survey with Savanta Comrades earlier this year, which indicated that half the people in this country are frightened to speak their mind. That's half the debate done, removed, finished. The traditional British value to preserve everyone's right to free speech has just been destroyed. In these days of twisted words and meanings, where men or women, cowardice is heroism, victimhood lionised, grievance glorified, and we have a communist calling himself conservative at number 10. We have a very small window, even smaller after yesterday's announcement, over mandatory vaccinations, to gather together in defence of free speech and to legislate for its primacy in society, just as the Americans have done with their First Amendment. And so many on this side of the argument, if you will, are entrepreneurial, innovative and industrious. The number of organisations, think tanks, media outlets that do incredible work to highlight the crisis in free speech is encouraging. But unlike our censorious friends on the extreme far left, we do not seem to come together and protect the sacred value to think, to speak your mind, to be wrong, to learn, to live, to understand, to forgive, and to love. I am so desperately worried, following yesterday's announcement, that you no longer have autonomy of your own body. Or if you do, that autonomy comes at a price that will split society down the middle. We are in the early days of tyranny, and the voices we so desperately needed at a time of national crisis were cancelled out and shut down by those who feel that they know how to make the world a better place as long as the rest of us do exactly as we're told. America holds free speech so dearly that the very next amendment written enshrined its defence with force if necessary. I am extremely grateful to Francis, Paul, Lucille Taylor, Anna Duffy, and your own consumption for putting together this report. I wish I could be optimistic about the future, but following the announcement yesterday from the Prime Minister, I live in dread on our children's behalf for the world they will inherit unless the tide turns, and turns quickly. Freedom of speech exists so that man may resolve conflict with words rather than weapons. Freedom of speech has been dealt a grievous, grievous blow in these last decades. The acceleration of its suppression in these last months should terrify us all. We must remember what we are, what this country was built on, and what it stands for. We must remember what civilization is built on, the free, fair, and full exchange of ideas. And if we don't, all of us come together in its defence, a descent into barbarism is unstoppable.